Hey, let's roll through this quickly. Hi, my name is Scott Church, alongside Mr. Ryan O'Regan and Mr. Davion Busey, and welcome to Tales from the Film Set on Zingo TV, channel 249, 250. Make sure to download the Zingo TV app on the app stores of iOS and Android. When you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. Both apps are free. And lastly, Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV 6, Roku 6, and all Smart TV 2064. Okay, cool. There we go. I hate that every single week, but I have to legally do it. So we're just going to zip on through and basically just, break on through to the other side.
Scott, you did see that last week we had an actual crawl that was going and saying all that stuff for us.
Well, that's because somebody else set it up in this case. But we are technically, I think, supposed to actually say it ourselves. But
yeah, no, I can't do that.
If I can do the crawl, that's fine. I'll go with that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
By the way, Dave, what were you doing down there?
We don't want to know what Dave's doing down there. That's a dangerous question.
I can't tell if you're doing fandangoing or if you're doing the Urkel.
Oh, it's got to be the Urkel. Please, Urkel.
It's both.
Anybody got any key? That not Red Hood. Not Red Hood. Urkel is what you got to cosplay as. But I think you would be a really good Urkel.
If I do Urkel Halloween,
not Urkel bot, not Myrtle.
I'll do it. I just got to find my Myrtle.
Okay, yeah, you need to cosplay as Steve Urkel because I think you can really pull it off. You got the geek factor in there, and I think if you hike your jeans up to your nipples,
yeah.
The fact that you're envisioning so much. Halloween's over. We've got a whole year until next Halloween.
But we happen.
But yeah, speaking of the fact that Halloween is over, well, go ahead, dude. Go ahead.
I'll save it for the. Right. It's not done with a film or anything. It happened on Halloween Eve, and I'll just save it for the end.
Okay. Eve. Okay.
Something happened on Halloween Eve. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Otherwise known as
the next reboot of the horror franchise that no one asked for, Halloween Eve.
Otherwise known as Goosey Night here in Jersey. So basically, the other day I ended up putting up on the YouTube channel, just out of curiosity, to see
right, we do those.
Yes, and I like to do that because I really like to get the pulse of what people are thinking and how they're feeling. So I tossed it out there very simply. Are you interested in Wakanda Forever? Yes, no, or streaming eventually. Surprisingly, that was split. If you see it right down the middle, 35, 35, 31. Yeah. And if you look at it right above it, you'll see that was out of 677 votes. That's not like a small number on that. That is, 2/3 of 1,000 right there. And every single one was like 200 or 250, however the math works out. Yes, no, and probably Disney Plus when I get around to it.
That's insane.
Dude, right down the middle. I pulled this number for about 20 minutes ago, half hour ago. So I kind of let it run as long as I could do it. But yeah, amazingly, out of almost 700 votes, only 200-ish are like, yeah, I want to see this movie, and Wakanda Forever, I think, and I think you'll agree with me, has a world of pressure on it, to succeed, and doing it without your leading person from your first movie, because Chadwick Boseman passed away, and losing his charisma. I'm curious to get both of your thoughts there on this. Do you think the movie can do well? Do you think the movie's going to struggle? And do you think it's going to cause Phase 4 to kind of go out with a whimper, not a bang?
All right. I'm going to say this. It's all about the dynamics and also how many people that watches the show. Because remember, we got to go by the people that's watching the show. You got to go by the dynamic. You got to go by the audience. Who are our audience? Why are they saying what they're saying?
Yeah, who is our audience, to be honest? Because Lord knows we got a lot of DBZ abridged stuff on here. That's not ours, so I don't know who our people are.
I'd say about half or so is probably almost half is about DBZ related. But okay, cut that out. Some of them are probably jonesed about Phase 4. Some of them aren't. Just because it's not Dragon Ball doesn't mean that they don't have interest in it.
Right.
But if I put a comment in there, are you going to see the new Dragon Ball movie when it comes out? I'd be shocked if there's like a freaking no in any of that. But
if there's no, I'm going to be like,
let's take the Dragon Ball people into consideration for a second. Now we know Dragon Ball likes to really stretch out a fight and stretch out a story. And from what I understand, this movie is going to be practically 3 hours, where some people the review embargo is up, so
Mhm.
critics are able to put their reviews in now, and they are saying that probably the biggest detriment is that it's maybe a little bit long than it should
Mhm.
be.
2:41, I believe, is the time on that.
Right, so
Well, for
definitely one of the
wait,
longer
not
ones.
Dragon Ball,
No,
Wakanda Forever.
Wakanda Forever is 2 hours
No,
41.
yeah, no. Even though they don't have Chadwick, they are putting in a lot into this
Mhm.
movie. It is the final movie of Phase 4. It is the movie without Chadwick Boseman, so everyone has to pull a little bit extra weight, considering you don't have that main star power. And considerably, you are adding a lot of new things to it, too, especially with Namor.
Mhm.
And bringing in that whole Central American vibe with the character.
I believe
Yeah.
it's pronounced, though, Namor, though, isn't it? It's not
Well,
Namor, it's Namor.
it's really Namor, but because of this
Is
universe,
it? I heard
which
something.
is
It's a legal reason or something. They can't call him Namor, so they had to give it a little bit of a Spanish feel to it. I'd heard
Right, but
something
like
that there was
most
illegal to
white
do that.
people were gonna go hear something, and just working into English.
Mhm.
right,
So we are terrible people.
like he said.
I didn't say anything, you know.
But
So,
there's I don't want to say there's a lot riding on this movie per se, simply because I think there's enough goodwill from the previous movie for Ryan Coogler and everything that he's done
Mhm.
for this, predominantly female casted
mhm,
movie, which when done right, female driven movies do bring in its own separate audience, regardless of what's
Right.
going on. And
as
you've
long as
got
it's
what,
music
like
played cool, though,
five or
that's the
six
thing.
of them leading the pack
Mhm.
for this film. Um, I think the question for this really becomes, will this do better than the majority of the slate of Phase 4? Because
Mhm.
if it doesn't, then they really have to think a lot about what they're going to do with Phase 5, which is only starting next year.
Right.
Yeah, when you look at what Phase 4 has been, and you look at all the movies that were in there, there's a lot of stuff, not movies and also the shows as well. There's been a lot of things in there that have been meh, or
Yeah.
things that honestly just did not get the positivity that I think they were going for there. Spider Way Home, leave that one out for a sec. But Shang-Chi was okay.
Yeah.
Eternal did not do well. WandaVision irked a lot of people. Thor Love and Thunder, I think, basically didn't do well there either.
Miss
Multiverse of
Marvel did. Miss
Miss
Marvel
Marvel
did a
wasn't
big.
bad, but
That was
She-Hulk
good.
was different. I guess to
Yeah.
word it that way. But I mean, in this
Well,
case here, when you look at Phase 4, there's more movies that did not do as well as movies in Phase 2 or 3 would have done previously.
Now, my question to everybody is: do you feel as though the series did well than the films, or the movies did well than the series?
Apples and
it's
oranges.
hard to say because this is the first time that we've had to worry about like Marvel from two different fronts.
Mhm.
This was the first time we actually
Yeah, the
had
first
television
Disney Plus
series,
Marvel
which,
phase.
yeah, in some cases were longer than your traditional movie, were a lot more experimental in different genres, were able to try different things that you probably wouldn't be able to get away with in just a film for a
Mhm.
short amount of time. And there was a lot of cross promotion. Like, there were reasons that you almost had to watch the television series in order to understand what was going on in some of the movies,
Yeah.
like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. If
Like,
you didn't watch WandaVision and you didn't watch maybe What If season 1,
Mhm.
you
you
would
wasn't
have,
to get it.
yeah, you were losing some things.
And maybe that's probably what the issue is right now. Like a lot of people was maybe Marvel and Disney was thinking, okay, we could do the series and have it connect to these
Mhm.
films, and then by going to see how it works from there. And those who didn't have Disney Plus but went to go see the movie were a little bit up in the air compared to the ones that actually.
But we also have to remember COVID played a big part in Phase 4 too.
Yeah.
If COVID didn't happen, Phase 4 would have been stretched out a lot more. You would have had like an extra year, maybe a year and a half, for some of this stuff to roll out. And
Mm-hmm.
thus, it would have been more easily palatable rather than feeling like it was being jammed down our throats for like the last 2 years just to get things back on board for stage 5 and everything. So,
Do you think COVID had an impact on interesting?
oh, absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely, it had a phase. From the original slate, when you look at what was supposed to come out and when things were supposed to come out, because of COVID, everything got rearranged.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Black Widow probably would have been a much better thing had it come out closer to
That
when
one,
the
yeah.
end of Endgame happened. You know, something like Shang-Chi probably would have had a little bit more room to breathe. Did it not have to be, you know, stuck between things like Eternals and Doctor Strange and Spider-Man and all these more well-known characters coming into the fray?
Right.
And there are probably like only a few things I could see on this whole list that probably came out at the right time. So
Moon Knight, maybe?
it does feel like a bit of too much too soon.
Mm.
That's just why Wakanda Forever, I think, in the grand scheme of things, it's almost coming at the right time because of the death of Chadwick Boseman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if this came out sooner, I would have felt like, okay, I don't think a movie really should follow this. Or that there really should be like a big TV special or series after this. Because this is probably like, it's... When you look at Phase 4 as a whole, there's like 2 main underlining things that have pretty much come up in every movie and every TV series. Family and the loss of family. So if this overarching theme that's played ever since Black Widow and WandaVision, if you do this movie about the loss of Chadwick Boseman, which is essentially the gut punch to the entire MCU family, this is what you end it with. This is the, you know, the epilogue, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we will be getting the holiday special from Guardians of the Galaxy come December, but you know what? That's a one-off thing. That's just a palate cleanser. This is where you end off. This is why you end off. This is the dark hours of the MCU. A lot of experimental stuff, a lot of overreach into other avenues, but you bring it home with this.
Mm.
And I agree with Ryan on that one because it makes sense. It makes sense. This was the dark ages of our lives. We were in a pandemic. We're home. A lot of these films were lost, like he said, loss of family or family in general coming together, but then also a loss of family because in certain films we had those elements. So,
you know, but the only thing that I'm asking you in this particular case, and I'm looking back at it, if you go back to Shang-Chi, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different Marvel movies in 14 months. That is just over one every 8-9 weeks, roughly. You know, that is saturating too much, and you're not giving people the anticipatory aspect that they got from Phase 1 and Phase 2. Every movie, the MCU movies that came out initially were experience. You got one every 9 months, one every 10 months. So you had a chance to build the next chapter. Now you have not had the chance to build a next chapter. And you were just immediately, bam, next content. And as a result, it's hurting stuff. By the way, Mike Davis said, check your inbox. Ryan, is that you?
Me?
Yeah.
Well,
check your inbox.
I have an inbox.
I apparently you do. looking at the Twitch numbers on here right now, I'm guessing it's probably you.
What's up, buddy? Check your inbox, bud. Okay, I will do that.
Unless you, Mike, are you spam? Let us know. You know, click the little "I am not a robot" check thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Like I know these things.
You know, actually, it might be on the Tails one too. I'll have to look at that later too. It might be you, maybe me. But anyway, back to the initial point.
Well, yeah, I don't think I have a Twitch inbox. Well, no, wait, maybe I do. I have notifications.
We'll find out if we do. But like I said, there's so much here. You know, if you look at WandaVision forward in a 2-year stretch, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 different products in 24 months. That is one every 6, 7 weeks. Too much.
It would have probably been a better idea to go ahead and do them in, like, at least if you wanted to go ahead and put out that much content, don't make it intersect.
Right.
Because then you're pretty much forcing the fans to go ahead and either sign up for the streaming process, for Disney Plus, for the bundle, whatever you want to call it. You're forcing them to have to play along with this in order for them to catch up with everything. Or you're almost forcing them to go into theaters and get everything on time, as opposed to when it eventually ended up on Disney Plus itself.
Right.
Which I think, depending on how you felt during the pandemic, you were going to be one way or the other. You weren't going to go ahead and do both.
And this is where I think the advantage for DC exists, because everything is independent of each other by and large, for the most part. 80%, 90%. Every single one of these is tied together. And that was personally, when I was collecting comics back in the day, this is what burned me out on comic books, because you had to sit there and reference Punisher 82. You go to Punisher 82, they reference Uncanny X-Men versus, which references X-Force, which, and
they'd always give you the little notification too. It's like, it'd be a little star there. There'd be a box in the corner. It'd be like, seen in, Avengers 248.
And it got too complicated, and that's where I think the MCU is struggling a little, because they're overcomplicating their product. Now, unfortunately, they've shot themselves in the foot, because initially, before, back in the old days, we never really had mid-credit stuff and credit stuff. We never had previews for another chapter. Marvel killed all that. You came to expect something, at the end, to sit through the credits to get the next chapter. At this point, every movie now pretty much is expected to have some kind of an end credit or mid credit thing. Comics are not.
That doesn't even play into the next movie per se. It doesn't play into the next movie that we're going to see. No, it's giving us a breadcrumb for something that we're probably not going to see for like 3-4 years, depending on production times.
Right.
And now that breadcrumb doesn't mean anything. Back in the, if you remember back in like Iron Man and things like that, when you suddenly saw like Nick Fury, you're like, holy, it was Nick Fury. You got excited for it. Now all of that luster is gone, because whatever the end credit thing in Wakanda Forever is, I don't know what, maybe female Iron Man or whatever. Something's coming.
Well, you already get that during the movie, so
Yeah.
Okay.
I honestly, I don't have
Ironheart's already.
I could be wrong on that, but the point is that something's coming. So as a result, it loses maybe a little bit of its magic that way.
Right. And it's been very quiet lately for those who saw the film, because they did not say anything.
Could be an
NDA. Yeah, no, they've had to be very careful
about the end credit.
Any spoilers.
Yeah,
there won't be spoilers until Friday.
Right.
And I'm going to be seeing it on Thursday afternoon, I'm sure.
And by the way, by Saturday, those credit scenes will be up on YouTube anyway.
Right.
Phase 5 and 6.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's like they already now have an idea about what 5 and 6 is going to be. They've already given us the teasers with Kang and the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. And there's enough out here now. Like, I think I said this in a previous episode. There's enough out there that they experimented with in Phase 4 that now they know, okay, where should we hedge our bets? What are we actually going to invest more into? Obviously, we don't know when there's going to be another Spider-Man movie, for example. We don't know when Sony and them are going to talk. So
they just made an announcement that they're going to do another one too, but yeah, still ways out.
Until Secret Wars, until they start getting into like more of Phase 6. But we already know we're getting Miss Marvel in the Marvels, that sequel. We already know that at some point, Moon Knight season 2, I think, has already been hinted out. We are getting Loki season 2.
Right.
Unfortunately, I don't know what this means for like things like Doctor Strange or Shang-Chi or things in the mystical realm, because all I keep hearing about is Agatha Harkness. So what's they just keep adding more. It's like,
yeah. Then of course you got Echo on top of that, the spinoff from Hawkeye.
And then you got the
So that's the thing right
Marvels.
there. And is Daredevil
Right, and
coming
then
back for all the Netflix
Secret
stuff?
Invasion is going to be, I think, what?
Mhm.
Secret Invasion is going to be the first television series of
Right.
Phase 4, is it
Mhm.
not?
Yeah.
Phase 5, I mean.
Yeah, I didn't pull up Phase 5. I should have, but
Yeah, so it'll be a question of how that whole thing plays into the start, since it's the start of it all.
mhm.
And there's so many strands with this being a multiverse now, as opposed to being a single through line. But
Mhm.
that's the nature of the universe as it stands. You know, it was easier back when the MCU started because you only had like a handful of people and everything revolved around those handful of people. Now you've
Mhm.
got like a huge load of people and everything revolves around them. It's like Stranger Things. At this point, we're now in season 4 of Stranger Things, where there are just too many characters.
Mhm.
Hopefully, come Phase 5, some people are dying off. I hate to say that, considering Wakanda Forever coming up, but I think that's where we're going to have to go. Some major characters are going to have to go outside of Iron Man and Captain America.
Mhm. Which may be part of the reason they've been so quiet about some of this stuff anyway, because of what may end up being the case if they start killing off characters. You sign an NDA sort of things, and you lose. You not only basically do you lose all your perks for future movies, but you get sued, and those Disney lawyers are they will crush you.
Right.
So in this case here, yeah, they may have to start cutting some players down, and maybe some of the original group. Maybe Thor dies, maybe Hulk dies, and paves the way and trims this down for what 5, 6, and 7, and hell, why not Marvel? Phase 8. I think
And we
eventually,
still haven't even gotten the Fantastic Four or the X-Men or any of the
Mhm.
other heavy hitters that are coming in from the Fox merger.
Yeah,
Ghost Rider is still out there. Blade is still out there. Blade's been put on a shelf as of right now because
Blade's coming too.
of
Yeah,
issues.
um,
But yeah, at this point, Phase 5, it might as well just be a distant idea at this point, though, because we really should just be focusing on what Phase 4 has given us, as opposed to adding anything more. I mean,
well,
here we have Wakanda Forever, which we already know we're losing T'Challa, one of the biggest names
mhm.
in Marvel Universe. The Black
And a
Panther,
very charismatic actor on top of it too.
right?
The
So
charity work
whoever
that he
is
did,
taking
he was
over the
just a
mantle,
likable
whether
guy.
I mean, even just in the movie alone, whoever is taking over the
Yeah.
mantle or mantles, because that's my theory. It's not just
Mhm.
going to be one person, but that's just me. It,
Very cool
it can't
connected to
be
Supernatural,
everybody.
Echo and Daredevil, and
Midnight Suns too, yeah.
yeah.
We already know Thunderbolts is coming. Daredevil, who just got his jollies on She-Hulk, he's going to get
Mhm.
his own series, and who knows if it's going to be a completely off tone from what we got in She-Hulk from him, if it's going to be a completely different version of the character,
If
or if
they
it's going to
do
be
that,
that
I think the fans are
character.
going to be pissed. I think the
Well,
fans are going to be
because
really
this Matt
pissed
Murdock was a
if
lot
they
more
beat him down.
lighthearted. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but see, that's the problem. What was great about the Netflix stuff, Iron Fist maybe notwithstanding, is the fact that it was dark, it was gritty. I mean, you saw, a Punisher that was the Punisher. You saw
Right.
Daredevil. You saw stuff in there that really captivated as the first, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, first Marvel live action series that was out there, and Netflix just ran with it. I mean, Jessica Jones was dark. David Tennant was, played a role that nobody had ever really seen David Tennant do before after the Doctor.
and now he does
So
it in every other movie, but
it basically does. But in this case, it set a weird, if you bring Daredevil from Netflix down to a lot of people, I think are going to really, really hate that because they're going to go back to the originals and say that stuff was better. This stuff is trash, and they're gonna argue and gripe about the fact that they toned it down for Disney.
Well,
Go ahead.
well, got something in my throat, but no homo.
Okay.
But what I was saying is they already got the properties on, Disney Plus from Netflix. So they are playing it, but they had to water it down because it's Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing that really hits me about what they've been doing, and I think it's been more reflective in the TV shows than say in the movies. When the
The
MCU
Netflix
really
stuff
got
was
started,
dark and gritty. That's the direction
well,
they
no,
took.
I'm saying like
So
after the first Avengers movie, after Avengers 2012, and the Netflix stuff started coming up, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was on ABC and everything, and you almost had like this little expanse, like in the smaller realm of the MCU while they were building it up. Everything still felt like it was stitched in reality. It's the thing that we always said, like the MCU was really we were priding it, that it was something that felt like it could still be happening in our world. Now, this world has become so weird and so topsy-turvy that it's not our world anymore. It's its own thing, which begs the
I blame
question:
the pandemic.
Are we even in the same world when Endgame happened? Or are we in another universe? There's so much going on that seems beyond the pale of what we've originally gotten.
You know what I think
And
hurts it a little bit, and this is the same problem that I think Dragon Ball has, is that when you have
I didn't think it's bad to bring
no,
about.
no,
Do it.
I think
he's
you'll
telling
agree
the
with me.
truth.
I think you're going to agree with me. You know, you look at the Battle of New York, you look at the battle against Thanos, you think about how big they were in their time, how much smaller they get as the universe gets bigger. Same problem with Dragon Ball. You know, you have a battle against Frieza, and then eventually, basically, you can kick Frieza's ass by just kicking, just one simple attack. You know, it diminishes the gravitas of a big battle when you suddenly start making the universe bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think both of them have the same problem right now, where they just keep getting bigger and bigger. So your massive world-changing battles that you were gripped to suddenly become smaller and smaller, middle management.
Right. And it's like Scott says, you gotta build up the universe, but it becomes cluster and it becomes too much. And remember how epic it was when Goku turned into a Super Saiyan and faced Frieza and killed Frieza.
They killed Krillin. They killed his best friend in front of
him. And so seeing it now, Goku like, oh, hey Frieza, how you doing? Yeah. Did I kick your butt again?
Yeah, and it's like it loses, like I said, some of the magic. That's the same problem that Marvel has. I mean, you think about how medium the battle against Thanos has become.
Yeah.
When you go into Eternals level. So,
see,
by two different people back there in 2015.
Yeah, and obviously there was the issue with Feige and what the television shows were doing, but still, they were able to create some sort of some semblance that things were going on parallel to each other,
right,
as opposed to being completely one-off.
But yeah, look, like you said, Scott, will it be the same when they bring Thanos back? No, it's not going to be the same because it's like, okay, they beat you this time. What is going to be like when they face you again?
Yeah.
Is it going to be I'm dead? Or are you going to put up a good battle?
I mean, when Thanos, if you remember, when we went into Infinity War, we were not really sure. We knew it was the second movie, but we didn't really know what was going to happen. Right. And when he snapped, and half the population of the universe went, and then you have Peter going, I don't feel so good. And I mean, that hit home.
Yes.
You had to wait 2 years to find out the next chapter to that and how this was going to resolve.
Yes.
And now at this point, almost 3 years after the fact, you've had the Eternals, you've had, Shang-Chi, you've had so many things that I think has diminished that global war and the 5-year window there that is just like, okay, life took over. You got some people like Thanos is right. You've got just life moves on.
Right.
Which is normal and expected, but it kind of, like I said, diminishes how powerful Phase 3 ended.
Right, because think about
it. Tony died, Natasha died.
But I think that's why Wakanda Forever is the perfect ending spot for this Phase 4. Think of it in the grand scheme of things. Okay, Phase 4, like I said, it's about, you've had these undertones of family and loss, and these found connections that you end up losing and all that sort of stuff. Pandemic aside, it really stressed more the fact that whether these movies and television shows were happening either during the events of the blip or after the events of the blip, their life still moved on. There was still that call to arms that even with this drastic loss, you still have to continue. And certainly that is going to be emphasized in this movie because they've lost T'Challa, but it is called Wakanda Forever. Regardless of the loss, regardless of the pain, regardless of any instigator trying to take you down while you're weak, you still push on. You still move forward.
Right.
Now, take that whole concept and remind yourself that this is phase 4, but it's step 1 of the 3-part step of this multiverse saga. This is priming us for what is to come later. If we've already had to experience this kind of death now,
forgot about that.
we are going to experience so much more change in the years to follow because of what they want to do. Consider this a cornucopia of characters. And based upon who we love and who we don't, that's going to tell us, okay, once Kang is defeated and the multiverse is no longer a multiverse and we're back to a singular timeline, some people got to go.
Right.
You would have to think something would have to happen. Something would have to give there. Because there's a whole thing, I think, what did they say? You can have no more than 7 characters in your movie before the audience gets confused.
Right.
I think that's the number on that. So.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the problem that the Eternals had. The Eternals had like 10. And people were like, which one was that again? Who's Angelina Jolie? Yeah. Well, Namor will be part. Obviously, he surprised me a little bit. They took this long to get him into this.
Right.
I'm not too surprised because there really wasn't anything that would have gone on in any of the movies that would have brought Namor to the surface. No pun intended. I mean,
Clever.
The only thing that's really been an issue has been like these. Yeah, Tyler, I know something's got to give. Someone's going to give.
And both of you guys are right. It probably will. It probably will.
But for right now, we have to cap off the emotional feeling of what this phase 4 has given us. And I think Wakanda is going to do that implicitly. I try to use big words and I don't know how to say them.
Implicitly?
Yeah. But I think as far as how the movie will do, even though our poll shows different things, I think it'll do well. My hope is that at least does better than Black Adam did. Because the thing is, while Black Adam was a success for The Rock, it is still in trouble financially. All right, it is going to be a money loser. So my hope is that Forever at least makes enough money to show that we're ending on a high note. Because my worry is if they go ahead and lose money on Wakanda Forever, of all the movies of Phase 4, that is really going to not necessarily shut down production on things, but it's really going to make them think, okay, how much money do we really invest in all this?
This is a movie that has so much riding on it. And again, you lost your star to cancer. So people may be going for the empathetic factor of it, and respect to Chadwick Boseman. But is that enough to really generate the box office draw that Marvel and Disney is hoping for here? I don't think it will.
I think there's enough goodwill as far as the tone of the movie has shown. Yes, even Thor Love and Thunder made money, with as goofy as it was. I can't really say that any of the Marvel movies in Phase 4 have been money losers. Some maybe not as profitable as hoped for based upon the characters utilized. I'm sure they probably wished Black Widow had done better. I'm sure they probably wished Eternals had done better.
That was a tough situation there.
But all of them still made money.
Right.
It's just going to be a matter of whether or not this movie makes enough money.
Love and Thunder made $761 million based on $250 budget.
Yeah,
So
and
not,
that
not
was a
bad, but
goofy
not
film.
world-beating. Yeah.
And that's the
You know,
thing; it had worldwide appeal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure, without a doubt, Wakanda Forever is going to have as much appeal as the first Black Panther did, because there really was nothing else like it. Now, mind you, we've seen. I don't know if any copycats or anything like Beast or the Woman King that have come out recently have maybe helped cleanse the palate any, or gotten people hungry for more, but.
Well,
Certainly, it's easy to say that I think we're riding a wave now of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever being a crescendo, as
mm-hmm.
opposed to feeling like another additional title.
Squadron Supreme. Okay. Justice League will. Yeah. Loki season 2, I think, will probably be a little more brutal than the first one.
You really think so?
I think so. I think they had to kind of establish him as his own lead. Now you can kind of just take it and just run with it, and I think they're going to learn a little bit from what happened with season 1. They're going to be a little smarter this time around, I think. So,
well, now there's an actual threat as opposed to it being just,
and of course, Madam Web too. So,
well, okay, no, Matt, Tyler, we can't count Madam Web. Madam Web has nothing to do with the MCU.
What?
Yet.
Wait. No.
Spider-Man
I
based,
disagree. Yeah, I disagree with you, Ryan, because Sony and Disney are working together with the whole Spider-Man thing, so they are collaborating.
That's usually when Spider-Man has to come into MCU movies. That has nothing to do with MCU or Marvel characters in the Spider-Man universe that Sony is making themselves, like Venom, like Morbius. Madam Web is a Sony strictly production.
But if they may bring Madam Web into this,
right,
and incorporate, because remember, that's that weird collaboration where you have a Sony product that is so firmly ensconced in the MCU. Madam Web, I think, with her powers, would have the ability to maybe tie some of this together a little bit more, and I think honestly could be very well used.
Please, we still haven't even seen what happened to that little bit of Venom ooze from No Way Home. We don't know if it latched onto the bartender or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not get ahead of ourselves with Spider stuff.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Spider stuff is happening on its own.
No, I'm going to get ahead of myself.
No. We got enough Spider stuff going on.
Look, don't do it, Ryan.
I'm doing it.
I'm going to do it. Like I said, it's not going to be, and this is my theory, ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to be Peter Parker that this Venom is going to be attached to.
Oh, jeez.
Was it Ben something or other?
No. He's
Flash
going.
Thompson. We're going to be introduced to.
Okay, well. Now, but see, now correct me if I'm wrong. The Venom movie with Tom Hardy, that was not in the same universe. That was separate, right? A la Joker and DC.
Correct.
Okay, so they
had to have the little teaser at the end of Venom 2 and the little teaser at the end of No Way Home.
Okay. So you have not established Venom in this one yet, nor Carnage.
Correct. Or anything else really spider-oriented. As of right now, nobody even knows who Peter Parker is.
Question, though. Are they going to bring back Topher Grace?
What, in the Sony Spider-Man movies or in the MCU?
He's technically part of the MCU when you think about it.
He was a guest appearance in the MCU. He was a one-off.
Dude, he left that 70s show. And that 70s show took a massive nosedive when him and Ashton Kutcher left. And he did that for a mediocre movie that's more known for the dance number than anything else.
Okay, but there are more established guest appearances in the MCU than friggin' Topher Grace or Tobey Maguire or whichever movie actor that was. Look, Spider stuff is separate. Spider is separate.
You see how he is, ladies and gentlemen. You see how Ryan is right here.
I was going to say, are you sure? Are you crazy sure you can't do a Ryan's rant segment here? I feel like the magic is there. I feel it's there.
Yeah, you got to bring up something that's going to make Ryan rant.
Yeah,
so we just got to figure it out.
Topher Grace, is he part of the MCU? Ryan, go.
No, there, done.
trying to think of what to make Ryan rant. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make a poll. We'll put 4 topics down, and if it makes Ryan rant,
dude, put him in the chat. I'll throw the poll up there and see. You know,
I already have a rant ready. How about co-stars?
Actually, to be fair, in all fairness, we should ask Ryan if he actually wants the poll to go up. Because in fairness, if he doesn't, I'm not going to do it. That's
we got it.
I have no power. Go ahead and do the poll. I can only imagine what ridiculous things you're going to put up there. But look, Wakanda Forever going to do great. Next story, Scott. Didn't you get kicked off set?
Yeah. All right. So we're going to switch over. We got about 10 minutes left roughly at this point. So.
And I got to basically tell my story on Halloween.
Fair. But mine won't take too long, so we'll open up to you pretty quick. So something happened to me that hasn't happened to me in 4.5 years on set. I got kicked off. This really doesn't happen to me too often, but I do have a pet peeve on film sets. When you want me to bring a car to set. Now, keep in mind, I live in New Jersey. 95 times, bare minimum out of 100, my car is going into New York City, Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, somewhere around there. I have a very simple request. Tell me where I'm going. Because one of the problems that exists, and I already know what the production was. I'm not going to mention the production. I'm not going to mention anything like that. But one of the
problems... You'll get me ranting again.
Dude. One of the problem that exists, sometimes we are told where to meet for holding, wardrobe, and things like that.
Right.
But we are not told where the car is, which can sometimes be location or upwards of 2 miles away from where we're supposed to meet for holding. So when you don't tell me, and in my case, if I have to be there, in this case, I had to be there, I think it was like 7:15, and I get there at 6:15, I don't know where to go. Nothing is coned off. There's no signs. There's nothing like that. So in my particular case, I called up casting and it was like, we need to know where the cars are going to go. And the response that I got was, drive around until you find it. We don't have it.
Yeah. There's usually not a designated spot.
Which actually, as it turns out, they did have it. But, keeping in mind that this was Queens. Now, Queens has a population of 2.6 million people. The people I spoke to in the emergency line live in a city that has 1/6 that population. The entire city has 450,000. Queens has 2.5 million. I was told, drive around until you find someone or find out where it is. I eventually did find out where it was because I had to call multiple times, and they were like, Master of Disguise or Halloween, and there's gonna be your rant, pal. But so finally found out where the car was supposed to go. And by the way, it was about 0.6 of a mile from here. And when I got there, parked, we're going over to location 1 because Justin's there. I get a phone call from production. You need to move your car. It's in the wrong spot. Oh. And having already had my peeves petted, shall we say, I kind of fired off a NSFW phraseology in a crowded group of people, some of which were in fact production people, words that I can't hear, and Clark W. Griswold level from Christmas Vacation, if you will. And suffice it to say, the wrong people heard me say it. So we're in location 1, and location 1's about 3/4 of a mile from where the car was located. I parked the car, moved to the other spot where they told me to, and then I get back and they're like, we got to talk to you for a second. And I'm like, and I immediately told the PA out loud, I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well, is it? When they pull you aside 10 minutes, had a rant for the ages to talk to them about this. And they're like, yeah, so we're going to have to let you go today. We are well aware of the problem that exists with not being told where the cars are supposed to go. This is the second time this week this has happened to us. But we figured because of the chaos that's going on right now with the film production and some things that were happening behind the scenes, and because of the fact that I was unpleasant in the moment, although completely fine afterwards, they felt it was best for everyone involved to have me go home, get paid for the car, the filming day, straight 8, no overtime, 2 wardrobe changes, and the COVID test that I had 2 days prior. So I got paid the full rate that I would have gotten anyway. And in the interest of just keeping everybody happy, they're like, we're not going to call casting. We're not going to say anything. It's cool. Don't worry about it. But, just go home, go relax.
I mean, that's a pretty sweet deal, all things considered. Not everybody would get that sort of.
It's like I felt like I got suspended from school, but they weren't putting it on my permanent record.
Basically, it's like, you know what? Go take a nap. Go.
I did. I took a nap down in the basement down here. I got back.
Dude, that's pretty good. All right.
10:30. I got back around 11:30. And then
obviously any actor on set, we're always worried about whether or not something we do or something we say or something we wear or some place we go to during our time there is going to affect badly on us.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like 2 steps away from a golden ticket, man.
Exactly.
You could only hope. And I think the thing that played in well for you is the fact that you weren't the first one.
Yeah,
it
happened like 2 or 3 days
obviously, you were just like another nail in the coffin on this thing. Chances are tomorrow there'll be another person that maybe has the same issue, and it's just something they have to resolve. Something that should have been in place.
Scenes also on top of it is way more in their face anyway.
Exactly. So I mean, you really lucked out, and
dude, I got back to the house. I got a sandwich from the deli around the corner. Came back, ate my sandwich, ate my Doritos, watched Archer, and then took a nap on the couch for an hour.
Like the song says, nice work if you can get it. And
if you got paid for the day.
Tell me how.
And honestly, I walked away with about $230 before taxes, not counting the COVID test, and which, by the way, counts towards my health insurance for next year.
Sweet.
So, now I got to be on my best behavior to make sure. It's the first time in 4.5 years. I was not happy about it. My buddy Rich and I talked about it. He's like, dude, don't worry. It happens regularly. It's not an issue. But I was still a little concerned anyway about my rep. So I do have to be on my best behavior and make sure I'm on my best behavior because I don't want something on my resume this way. I dodged a bullet, I think, a little bit here, but I don't want to make a habit of this too. And like I said, it's the first time since 2018 this has happened to me.
If anything, just simply lead by example. Now, knowing the production that you are and knowing the star of the production and what's going on with them, it would be a feather in your cap to simply go on and go the next day and be like, almost nothing ever happened. The pinnacle of actor that I know you can be. Show other people who are way more fortunate and getting much more opportunities than they should, and show them how it's done.
Yeah. Right.
Again, not saying who it is, but if
all right, so we're gonna go straight to because
we got like 3 minutes a day. I know you had something too. We got about 3 or 4 minutes.
So pretty much this was pretty a situation that happened on Halloween Eve, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
I just came from a Halloween party. It was late at night. We saw a major car accident. White car ran into a pole, smoking, and once we passed that, because the person of the car got out the car, we see the other truck flipped over, and then we see somebody underneath the truck on the driver's side at the bottom of the vehicle. So it was me, my mother, and the Lyft driver. Lyft driver's like, yo, we gotta get this truck off this guy. And I was like, you know what? Let's go. Let's do it. So me and the Lyft driver went over to the truck. We're busy trying to lift the truck, but we're thinking some miraculously something going to happen with us lifting the truck.
It's a truck. Yeah.
It's a literal truck. And this is not like the grandma who basically lifts the car to get the kid out.
Correct. So a third person out of nowhere comes up, helps us trying to lift this truck up. Remember, this truck is on top of somebody. So then the fourth person comes in, drags the person out, and they notified us and told us there is another person which is in this truck who is the driver. We thought the guy that was out on the ground was the driver. He was not the driver. He was a pedestrian that happens to be underneath that got hit. So once we're busy, now we're like motivated trying to lift this truck up. So it's like 3 more people came out their cars. And we finally got the truck lifted out on its wheels. The driver was disoriented, breathing, alive, disoriented. That's all. Well, the other person breathing but knocked out, cold. So, long story short, I'm about like just checking on those two, making sure they're okay. The white car finally gets engulfed in flames.
Yeah. I was waiting for that one.
The driver decides to run in a fiery car to get her pocketbook.
Well, the phone's in there. You got to tweet about this.
Her boyfriend was like, yo, should I go pull her out or should I not? I run in, literally pull her out, like 5 to 10 feet away from her vehicle. And she's like, my pocketbook, I said, screw your pocketbook.
It's a Gucci bag, though.
Screw the Gucci bag. You'll get a replacement.
But it's got my eyeliner and my makeup and
screw everything.
You almost wonder if it had like secret documents, like like the football, like the football, like the nuclear codes or something. Something that would cause them to actually risk that. It's not just like a makeup kit and a cell phone.
It was crazy. So
again, not trying to be sexist or anything, folks.
No, we're not. But then another guy comes and talks about, yo, we got to go back in the car. So we still got to go. Somebody's in there. I'm like, dude, there's nobody in the car. How you know? I would just pull the person in the car.
Just
dude, then why she was running like panicking like she is? I was like, over a darn bag. Oh, yeah, screw the pocketbook. I'm like, yo.
It's like, I was there. If there was someone, they'd be screaming. I'd have heard them.
So to sum this up, they actually ran back into the burning car, which may very well explode, to get the purse.
Yeah. So we drove back, got home, me and my mom. The Lyft driver thanked me for helping him. I thanked him. Long story short, I went in the house. My mom goes in. We get in. While I'm taking my coat off, she looks at me up and down. And I'm like, why are you looking at me up and down? And she said, look what you got on. And I'm like, what do I got? And I'll say, oh, crap. So, for those who wondering what I had on, if you paid attention to my Instagram and my Facebook, Ryan should know this because I post it all the time. And it's a reason why I post it. And this is the reason why I post that costume all the time.
Oh,
I was in the Red Hood outfit for cosplay and saving lives late at night.
So what you're saying is this was all just one big stunt to get you into the DCEU.
To draw out Batman.
No, it was not a stunt. This actually...
Nice. That's badass, though. Props, man. We got to wrap this up. I'm sorry. I want to give you a little more accolades on this. But, dude, badass, props, kudos, and questioning humanity's stupidity at the importance of grabbing, a purse that very well may or may not be on fire, as possibly she could have been as well.
Correct.
So, all right. Like I said, we got to close this out for commercials and whatnot. Ryan, thank you as always. I appreciate it. Day, kudos to you. Thank you as always. I appreciate it. And thanks to all you guys, the comments and everything like that. Daryl, Tyler, all the rest of you guys, appreciate it. You guys rock. Thanks as always for tuning in. Take care. Be awesome.
Save people, not